So as a Catholic schoolgirl, I remember waiting patiently outside that door for the priest to give me confession. As I would sit there, I would review what sins I was going to tell him. I would review my act of contrition and basically just be really nervous that I had to talk to this strange guy about such personal things. But after it was all over, I was like a new person. I was happy and excited because after I said my 10 Hail Marys and my 10 Our Fathers, the chalkboard was clean. Everything's cool. All those sins have been washed from my soul. God has forgiven me, and that's all she wrote. End of story, right? Wrong. That's not the end of story because that Catholic priest was playing God. My wrongdoings aren't between me and the Catholic priest. They're between me and God himself. So, is it up to the Catholic priest to just bless me and then all of a sudden God forgives me and that's it? That's all? I got news for you. If you want to be blessed, have one of your friends do it. You don't need a priest to do it. You want one of your friends who's a higher soul, though, and a higher soul is someone who's going to be a closer energetic match for the divine himself. So you want to find a particular friend of yours that you consider virtuous. Or someone who's overcome a lot of challenges and been through a lot of crap and learned from all of it. Chances are they gained a ton of virtues from all of that stuff as well. So you go up to them and say, "Hey, Sally, can you do me a favor? Can you bless me?" And then she'll look at you like you're strange and then say, "Please just do it, just humor me." But if you have a friend who you feel like would be a higher soul in your life, have them bless you. You don't need to have a priest do it. They don't have to do it for you. Have your friends bless you. So I'm not against the blessing part of it, okay? I feel like the more blessings we spread around, the better, okay? It's the all of a sudden everything's cool and God's forgiven you and like no harm, no foul part of the confession, that sacrament that really bothers me. And that's where I feel like the church is completely smoking dope for offering this service. Why? Here's why. Because when you quote sin actually doesn't exist. So I'm going to say when you make a mistake or align yourself with falsities, the dark, etc., you have lessons you have to learn as a result of it. I hate to bring this up because I know it makes everybody cry and makes your stomach churn, but I thought it was a good example. The ASPCA animal rescue commercials, right? Those animals are sitting in cages, they're all abused, and they're being rescued. So you're watching the commercials and you're just like, thank God they're being rescued, right? What about the person who was committing the animal abuse? What if they went to confession, the priest blessed them, they did their act of contrition, they said their 10 Hail Marys, 10 Hail Fathers, and then that's it, right? That's cool. No worries. What about that person walking out of the confessional is wrong? What's wrong with that picture? Not so fast, schmoopy. You have lessons to learn about animal abuse. So the divine's going to take a look at their soul and they're going to say, what virtues are you lacking in committing this act of cruelty, animal cruelty and animal abuse? You're lacking compassion. You're lacking empathy, kindness, maturity, love, not abusing your power over vulnerable creatures who can't speak, learning the value of an animal and what they bring to the table. Maybe you're abusing your pet, and gaining an appreciation for animals in general. Now, that's the biggest issue is how is this person supposed to learn these lessons about animals? Well, the divine has to orchestrate situations that this person is placed in to gain these virtues, right? Maybe have different experiences with animals, whatever, right? Or what's something else that could happen? This person could come back as an animal in the next life. The divine could take that person and put them in the animal's shoes so that they experience what They did, and they traded places. They were in those shoes. Pretty easy way to learn, don't you think? And so when I see somebody abusing animals, I look at it very differently. Obviously, I'm watching somebody abuse an animal. But it's very interesting because I watch them with a different eye. I feel like I'm watching somebody abuse themselves because I'm sitting there like, no, stop! What goes around comes around! That's all coming back. It's all coming back in the form of karma. Karma. What goes around comes around. How did you affect a person? Did you murder somebody? Guess what? Your karma isn't just out of balance with them. It's out of balance with their friends and their family and all the people that you affected. So now your karma is out of balance with all these people. Lessons, virtues, karma. It's not just erasing a chalkboard and saying we're square. Every time you screw up, you tell the divine, hey, God, I have to learn lessons. And some of those lessons are hard learned. What about bullying? Suppose you're bullying a member of the LGBTQ community. Oh, you gay guy. You're a stupid gay guy. You're mentally ill. There's something wrong with you. You have to learn. You have to learn that being gay is not a mental illness. It's their truth. And the divine has to show you it's their truth. So what's going to happen? It's going to be your truth in the next life. Maybe he'll have you come back as a gay person in your next life and walk a mile in their shoes and see what it's like. But you'll learn. You'll learn from it. You'll gain virtues. And this isn't even meant as punishment. This is meant to teach and to show. It's meant to teach you. It's meant to help you learn lessons because what's happening, you're gaining virtues in the process. And what happens when you gain virtues? You become a closer energetic match for the divine himself. You strengthen your connection to him. So do you see how this is actually an act of love? Because the divine, in teaching you lessons, is pulling you closer to him. Because your soul becomes a closer match for him the more virtues you gain and the more lessons you learn. Now, suppose that gay person that you were bullying becomes your boss. All of a sudden, you switch companies and he gets hired in as your boss. He's in a position of power above you. I've seen the divine have people trade places where you're up here and you're abusing your power over them. All of a sudden, they're up here and they're in a position where, oh, you're going to abuse your power over them? Now they're going to be tested. And hopefully they'll be the bigger person and, be mature and not abuse their power over you. But they're not going to forget it. They're not going to forget it. And you get a piece of humble pie because this person is now your boss. See how that works? The universe has a crazy way of doing things. You never know. Putting them in your shoes. Another thing that I really like that orchestrates this really well is suppose you broke up with your girlfriend in just a really mean way and you never really knew how you affected her. She just scurried off brokenhearted and never spoke to you again. So you were kind of like, well, that's that, and you continue on your merry way. Well, I like the movie Ghosts of Girlfriends Past with Matthew McConaughey because he has shown how much he truly broke Jennifer Garner's heart and how he just obliterated her and caused her all this pain by messing with her head and her heart, etc. And so the thing is, it's kind of like, Scrooge, where he's shown all of this stuff. And it's really in that manner. But the divine isn't really afforded that type of opportunity where he's able to just sit you down and show you this kind of a movie happening in front of your face because it's all in the past. It's all over. So he's forced to orchestrate events probably with other people. Or in that case, maybe, you're placed in your ex-girlfriend's shoes because your next girlfriend ends up breaking up with you in the same way. So you sit there and you're like, wow, that really hurt. I'm never doing that to anybody again. I can't believe it. And then that's why sometimes exes reach out and apologize. Hey, I saw the light. I didn't realize what I did to you. Now I see it. Hindsight's 20/20. I apologize. So obviously it does help and it does have an effect to apologize to that person. But do you see how that happens after you learn lessons and after you see the light? Another thing is you can't fool the divine because he sees your soul. So it's not like you decide when you've learned these lessons and you decide when, karma's cool. I have seen Other intuitives say that, karma doesn't exist or you have the ability to release karma. I was like, no, that's not true at all. That's like telling the divine, okay, I'm cool. And the divine looks at you and he's like, I disagree, but thank you for that. Like, he decides, not you. No, I just, okay, do a meditation and just energetically release the karma. It's like, no. Did you learn? Did you learn from it? Because you have virtues. You have virtues to gain as a result of learning. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I'm going to say, okay, so you performed this meditation and you cleared out all the karma. Okay, you just cleared all the karma from, your past, mistakes, and everything's cool, right? Well, you will have been doing a meditation that's working for the dark, because you will be deciding that you didn't need to learn and grow and evolve as a soul. And doing that results in you gaining virtues and you strengthening and improving your energetic connection to the divine himself, right? So the meditation you just did is literally pulling you away from the divine. It's compromising your divine connection. So that meditation you just did in releasing karma, you were technically working for the dark, because you were trying to prohibit soul's growth. So keep that in mind. Those karma releasing rituals, from the dark. Not your decision. I one time attracted darkness to myself just by asking them to balance out the karma between me and another person. That's not my decision either. That's not for me to say. The timing of that is up to them. The if and when is up to them. I asked them to balance out karma. And obviously it would have worked to the other person's detriment, not mine, because they had done something against me. That wasn't for me to ask. That wasn't for me to put the request in. I was overstepping my boundaries. They didn't appreciate it. I ended up attracting darkness to myself just by asking for karmic balancing. I don't go near that. I don't touch it. That's their territory. But I thought it was really important for people to know that, yeah, that's not really all she wrote. Confession doesn't do your job for you. And that is one of the things that I do. I mean, I do kind of fear. I have to be honest with you. Like, if I do make a mistake, I'll just be like, oh, I was just kidding, because I'll know that it showed them loud and clear I have lessons to learn. And I'm just like, we're cool. I learned lessons. I know it's up to you. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's something that definitely concerns me. If I screw up, I'm not going to lie. Learning lessons is harsh, man. It's painful. Painful seeing things from somebody else's perspective. It's harsh. So, it's difficult. Being an empathetic person, if you think about it, is difficult. What is empathy? Empathy is a virtue that gives you the ability to place yourself in someone else's shoes and see things from their perspective. So you see how you don't actually have to be placed in their shoes in order to be empathetic? You're placing yourself there, your head, your heart. If you're at a funeral and you're seeing the mother who lost her son, you're placing yourself in her shoes like, oh man, if that was my son, I can't imagine. I'm so incredibly sorry. And you're feeling their pain and experiencing that with them. That's empathy. And that's not something that you just wake up with one morning. It's something that you kind of have to work towards, I mean, think about it. Look around in your life. How many people do you see that just aren't really empathetic? They would benefit from those types of experiences from the divine of actually placing them in their shoes so that they can see from the other person's perspective and experience things. I mean, hate to say it, but pain is a good teacher. Fear is a good teacher. You gain virtues just by overcoming fear. You gain virtues just by speaking your truth. Let's go back to the LGBTQ community. Look at how many virtues they're gaining just by speaking their truth. They're learning self-love. Having, all those insults slung at them. Oh, you're mentally ill, you're crazy, there's something wrong with you, you're a pervert, whatever. They have to deal with that and charge through it and give themselves love and have that courage and confidence to move forward, knowing that's who they are, knowing that's their truth, and shining authentic light, and knowing that the divine is going to reward them for doing that. Because they will attract authentic relationships to themselves, authentic friendships, authentic jobs, because they will be shining authentic light. And so authentic energetic matches will come onto their path. So speaking your truth has its privileges. You just got to get through it, just got to keep on putting one foot in front of the other. So we're all learning as a result of our truths as well. So that's another thing is, I don't want anyone, going to confession thinking that they have to, confess any truths that they feel like they should be ashamed of. It's like, don't be ashamed of who you are. If that's your truth, shine authentic light and be proud of that. Okay, so that's all I wanted to share. Grew up Catholic, went to Catholic school for many years, first grade through college. So this is, a little bit of rewiring for me, which is why I see myself as a cafeteria Catholic. I like pick and choose certain things and leave the rest on the table. And confession is definitely one of them. So just remember, we're all human. We all make mistakes, but at the end of the day, it's between you and the divine, not you and a priest. Okay? And give yourself some love and forgive yourself as well, because the divine is very loving and very forgiving. And in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.